Hey there, folks, and welcome to Coach's Corner, episode 11. Today, we just want to take a look at 2017. We want to take a look at what we can expect coming out of the EFC regarding the champions. There's been some big announcements and some scary ones as well. Obviously, Michiel Opperman, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Obviously, we've got JP Buys, he's back, and he'll be facing Zulu Boy, which we're also going to look at. We're going to look at the women's divisions and what we can expect from this year. With that, let's start with the ladies' divisions, and let's take a look at Amanda Lino and Danela Eliasov. So, Amanda Lino, obviously, she is king of the castle in that flyweight division. We did expect her to be fighting Shauna Power, but obviously, Shauna coming off that incredibly unpredictable loss against Jacqueline Trossi, who did amazing to hunt her down that whole fight. Who's gonna step up and face Amanda? Well, the division's wide open now. I think that anybody could be there. I think Jacqueline Trossi, another one or two, she could be around looking at a shot. I don't think you should write Shauna Power off just yet. She will be back. Obviously, that fight was a catchweight fight, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll have to see if if Shauna, can make the required weight. Obviously, another media brand did speak about Isabel Perret, but now we don't know if she is part of the EFC or not. She's been fighting in other promotions. If you remember, Shauna Power pointed that out at EFC 50 after her win against Nicole Desegmi, saying that she had just lost a title fight in Poland. So, and also Isabel Perret's only had one fight in the EFC, and that does not make you a contender. You need a minimum of 2 fights in the EFC. You need a minimum of 2 victories in the EFC to be considered for a title shot. So, and we'll have to see what a contract says regarding fighting in other promotions as well. Also, we take a look at Danela, SA's first lady of MMA. She was South Africa's first lady to compete in the EFC. The first lady to get a victory in the EFC when she won her first fight against Zita Vaju, and now she's the first African lady to open up the strawweight division, and she did that with a victory. So, Danela's rewriting history. Strawweight for her is a much better division. She was having to pick up weight for that flyweight division. Here she can cut a little bit of weight. She'll be a little bit more comfortable, and it's a pity that fight against Irene Rivera ended the way it did. It would have been interesting to see a third round. It would have happened. It was a phenomenal fight, and I think if the EFC brings more talent like that for the women, we're going to see the women's divisions really lighting up, because there are some phenomenal female athletes out there, and we want to see them, and we want to see our South African ladies grow in MMA, because they've really put on some phenomenal fights. Moving on, we look at the flyweight division, where Zulu Boy is back, and JP Buys is the guy who's going to fight. So JP Buys and Zulu Boy, they will be fighting this year in a champion vs champion showdown. Zulu Boy, obviously the champion of that flyweight division. He's a 2-time champion in the EFC, having held the bantamweight belt as well. Now, Zulu Boy, he was overseas. He was competing in TUF. In the Ultimate Fighter, and while he was gone, JP Buys claimed the interim belt, and now the two will face off. And I think that this is going to be a classic fight. It's obviously grappler versus striker, and we got to take a look at the progression of Zulu Boy. He's sometimes he is a little bit one-dimensional, and sometimes he's a little bit predictable. But having trained now overseas in some top gyms with some top fighters, his wrestling game will have improved. His jiu-jitsu will have improved. Obviously, working with Vicker Swartz, it does improve day by day, and we have seen progression in his ground game as well. And the question here will be, can he keep JP Buys away from him? Because I can almost guarantee that if it does go to ground, JP Buys has a much superior wrestling game. But if Zulu Boy keeps it standing, his striking is arguably the best in that flyweight division. So, very interesting fight to look forward to. And if we look elsewhere in that flyweight division, Marino Kutundana, he'll be wanting his shot again. He lost that contendership to an overweight Baldwin Mdalose, and that's what cost him a title shot for the interim belt. So he'll be looking to have a shot against either JP Buys or Zulu Boy to possibly get gold in his career. Let's take a look next at the bantamweight division and Demart Penna. So Demart Penner, the question about Demart is, can he be beaten? I do think that a lot of us thought that Irshad Syed was the man who was going to do that. I think it's the second time only in Demart's career that there has been a question mark over whether he can beat an opponent or not. And I think the problem in that fight is that Irshad was trying to fight for the crowd and not fight for the belt. So who's going to beat Demart Penner? I really don't think there's anyone that can beat him, but Francois Groenewald has thrown his name in the hat and he's called out that fight, and I think a lot of people would like to see that fight happen for one simple reason. If anyone has come close to beating Demart Penner, it has to be the Franaconda. If you remember back to their first fight between them, Francois had Demart Penner in a very, very deep triangle choke during that fight. And at the post-fight press conference, Demart Penner still turned around and said, you know, that choke was in very, very deep. He could feel the lights were fading a little bit, and he thought he'd give it one more chance to get out, and he exploded, and he had the strength to get out, and that's what happened. And that's the thing with Demart Penner, is he is physically the strongest guy across that bantamweight division, and that is where his strengths lie. He's able to grind it out, and it works for him. The question is, has Francois' strength improved? Because if it hasn't improved, he's going to find the same troubles that he found in that first fight, if this title fight does happen between the two of them. But I'm sure he would have worked on that. I'm sure he's a little bit stronger now. Obviously, he moved to Cape Town to a new camp, and I'm sure they'll have worked on his strength quite a bit. And this could be an interesting fight. I wouldn't write off Francois Groenewald Demart Penner fight, and I wouldn't just write off Francois Groenewald in a second fight if they have worked on his strength, because skill-wise, his jiu-jitsu is one of the best in that bantamweight division. I do not think you can write him off when it comes to his jiu-jitsu, and his striking has gotten better and better and better over the years. So very interesting there. I think Irshad Syed will also want to get another crack. I think he knows where he made mistakes. He knows he was trying to please the crowd and not win a belt, and I do think that he'll want to have another crack at Demart. Furthermore, you've got exciting guys coming through that division. Chart Henning is now 3-0. Will he get a title shot this year? I think it's a little bit too soon for him this year, depending on how many fights he has. But I do think he'll get up to a contendership position where he can start having chats about title fights if he keeps on winning the way that he is. Very, very talented youngster. You do not want to miss this guy fight. It is amazing to watch. And then what is happening with Cedric Doyle? Has he retired or is he still in the game? We'll have to wait and see, because obviously he's always going to be a number one contender in the bantamweight division. And I think he also knows the mistakes he made against Demart, and I think a second crack he won't make those same mistakes. Let's move up to the featherweight division, where there's some exciting news if you haven't heard it already. The king there is Iga Smiley Cabeza. So Iga Cabeza is the king of that featherweight division. And if you haven't heard already, we will talk about Michiel Opperman being suspended. The new fight for EFC 57 in March, the first event of the year, will be Iga Cabeza versus Boyd Allen. That's correct. Iga Cabeza is no longer with FFM. He's now training in Norwood under Brendan Katz. I believe he's with Wade Henderson as well there. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with him. This fight is a great fight stylistically. Obviously, former teammates, they will know each other very, very well. Iga Cabeza won the belt under FFM, and then he moved on to another gym, to another camp, and they'll know each other very well. Cabeza's unbeaten, and obviously Boyd Allen has that one loss to his name, and this is where the difference between the two comes in. Iga Cabeza beat Danny Henry for the belt. Boyd Allen lost to Danny Henry for the belt. So, you know, on paper, if you look at it on paper, you've got to give the fight to Iga Cabeza. But stylistically, I think you might want to give this fight to Boyd Allen. You know, Boyd will want to try and keep it standing for as long as he can. But if you look at the level of his jiu-jitsu, it is phenomenal. You think back to that Danny Henry fight, and I think Boyd just gassed. And I think a lot of people have said that as well, that it seemed like Boyd just lost all the gas that he had, and that's where he lost the fight. And I think that will be corrected. That said, though, Iga Cabeza has proved his wrestling game is probably one of the best wrestling games in the EFC. I believe that Iga Cabeza is a very underrated athlete. I don't think people give him enough credit, and I think it's about time that he gets that credit he deserves. His stand-up is phenomenal. It improves day by day, and you know, he's the type of guy, he knows that he can't stand with everybody. And like with Danny Henry, he knew he wasn't going to be able to stand with him, because Danny Henry's boxing is superb. And that's where Boyd Allen had the one up on Danny Henry, and where Danny Henry was able to adjust his game. And I think Iga Cabeza, he's a very smart fighter, beautiful fighter. If you watch him, he's fantastic. And Boyd Allen, the same thing. He's a beautiful fighter. He puts the word art in mixed martial arts. And it's going to be phenomenal to see these two go at it. And I think Danny Henry's going to be excited, because I think Danny Henry will probably be the next man to get a shot. He's bounced back from that loss. He's winning fights again. And it'll be very, very good to see a guy like Danny Henry get another shot at the title. Another man we've got to take a look at is Ozzy Thomas. He is a natural featherweight. That is where he fights. He lost to Boyd Allen in a lightweight fight, or a catchweight fight. It was a little bit heavier than what he's used to. But I don't think you want to write him off. Ozzy, you are not a contender yet, my man. 1 win, 1 loss does not make you a contender. Get another win and you can start talking. I do think that another win for Ozzy Thomas will put him in talks, especially if it's another dominant display like he had against Wesley Hawkey. And you'll see Ozzy Thomas there. Will Ozzy Thomas get the belt this year? Sure, I wouldn't write it off, you know. And a lot of us South Africans, we like to give Ozzy Thomas a lot of grief, and I think it's unwarranted. All came down to him having an opinion about his fight with Boyd Allen, and I think he had a very valid opinion as well, you know. So stop hating on Ozzy Thomas. I don't think he deserves it. I think he's a great fighter. He's a great athlete. People want to see him fight. He brings out the best in athletes, and this could be the year of Ozzy Thomas. Let's move on to the lightweight division, where Dave the Pain Train Mazany is hanging on to that belt with everything he's got. Dave Mazany, can he be beaten? That is a question. You know, he's been beaten in other promotions, and now he's up against Don, the Magic Man, Madge. Don Madge, obviously, he lost that belt, that lightweight belt, and he seemed to have lost that fire in his eyes when that happened. Went through a bit of a rut. But since he moved to fight with Militia, that fire's back in his eyes, that will to win is back in his eyes, that aggression is back in his eyes. And you can see that when he fought Tyson Chelin, which was his first fight under FFM, that liver kick was amazing. And you can see that the Don Madge is back, the one that people loved to watch fight, whether you like the man or not. And can Don Madge beat him? Well, here's the thing. Think back to when he won the belt. Everybody wrote him off because Costa Ioanu, who was the champ at the time, had an unbeatable ground game. What did Don Madge do? Beat him with superior jiu-jitsu. He came out, I think it was a 4th round finish or a 5th round finish, finished Costa Ioanu with a rear naked choke. Don Madge can do the undoable. And, you know, Dave Mazany is going to have a big fight on his hands. This could easily be his hardest fight in the EFC. And I think that this is definitely going to be a fight that everybody needs to make sure they get tickets for. You know, if you're in Cape Town, this fight's in Joburg, get to Joburg. I think this is going to be a contender of the year for fight of the year. And I think that this is something that you don't want to miss. It's going to be an amazing fight. I wouldn't want to pick a winner. You know, Dave Mazany, his striking is phenomenal. Obviously, he said it. If you want to strike on him, get through his wrestling. And his wrestling game is what probably the best in the game, on par with Iga Cabeza's at the very least. And he's an amazing athlete and an amazing guy outside of the cage as well. Also, Leon Maynard, I do think he's maybe warranted a 3rd fight, considering you know, the fight that he had against Dave Mazany on a week's notice. It was phenomenal, and I think that he's going to want to get back on that horse and have another crack at Dave Mazany. I think if he had a longer fight camp for that fight, that first one, we would have seen a much better display of MMA from him. So interesting times. Also, you got a guy like Armand Skerpes, who has now joined FFM. He's 3-0 or 2-0, and he's the youngster that we think everyone needs to look at. You know, Armand is a phenomenal athlete. A little bit shorter than some of the guys in the division, but he makes up for it with his ground game and his slick striking. He's got very good head movements. He fights at very good angles, and he takes out some big boys. You know, he beat Stefan Pretorius, who's a welterweight, and he absolutely smashed through him in a catchweight fight. So, a very interesting guy to take a look at. Don't miss him. Let's move to the welterweight division, where Dricus du Plessis will be the talking point throughout the welterweight and middleweight division. Your champion, Dricus du Plessis. Dricus du Plessis has a big year ahead of him. He's got a big target on his back. I think there's anybody in the EFC that everybody wants to beat, no matter what weight division you're in, it's Dricus. Dricus has proven